So excited to welcome Mirtle Peña-Calderón and Ashley K. Stoyanov Ojeda, authors of the Book of Awesome Latinas, to Tamarindo. How y'all doing today?
We're excited.
Hey girl,
Yeah.
hey.
So nice to see you both. The audience might know, but Ashley and I go way back. We're buddies. We know each other. I've been through so much with you. It's like amazing to see you continuing on your journey. And now we get to welcome Myrtle. So let's dive right into it. Tell me a little bit about this book of Awesome Latinas. What inspired the two of you to even start creating this project?
Yeah, I can take this one. It's interesting. After I wrote HIFA on training, I think I became kind of like the Latina writer who writes for Latinas in the publishing world. And so I actually got approached by a publisher to write this book. And it was an easy yes for me because I know because of the first book how stories can influence people and inspire people to take action. And at the time, I knew that our community was about to come up against some challenges um, because politics. And I really thought that it would be a good reminder that we've always been through some stuff and we always come out on top, and kind of give people a sense of hope, right? But I also knew that I didn't want to tackle this project alone. And immediately I thought of Myrtle as the perfect collaborator because of her longtime journalist experience and years of working with the Latina community. I felt like it was really important to have someone who has done hours and hours of research and knows the challenges that our community faces. And obviously, it's a very talented writer, because, I know a lot about how to tell stories for impact, but maybe not so much on what makes a good what makes good research for a book like this. I had not really done a lot of profiles before, and she will tell you with her experience she has. So I was really lucky to have like the perfect partner for this.
I love this, Ashley. You're giving Myrtle her flores today. And I like what I'm really liking from this is just this understanding of like, hey, I've been approached to do this. I think I'm the person, but there are parts that maybe I need support with, right? There are areas of this that I don't have experience with. And to go out there and look for a collaborator, I think that's something that our listeners would be really interested in hearing about. And Myrtle, what are you thinking? You're hearing all these flores. Tell us about your journey with storytelling and writing.
I mean, firstly, I'm kind of pissed that she didn't mention that I'm her best friend, but you know, we'll let bygones be bygones. But it's just, I feel like as a firstborn daughter, anytime someone compliments us, we want to like go run and hide. But Ashley is someone who I have had an immense amount of respect. So when she approached me for this, the history nerd in me was like, pa'lante vamos, que el golpe avisa. So it's just like, let's do it. And I couldn't have asked for a better person to kind of learn to navigate the ins and outs of writing a book. Because, yeah, I may be, my strength may be in profiling people, but this is her second book. And there's a lot of things where I'm like, wait a minute, what about this? And she's like, no, don't worry about that. Because she's she's like she I feel like our bond is very much like she's the calm one, where I think it's because she's a Capricorn and I'm a Scorpio, and we offset each other really well. So it's been a privilege and a blessing to be able to tackle a project of this magnitude for our community together.
Yes, on Tamarindo, we really appreciate the horoscopes here, so people get a lay of the land, a proper lay of the stars. Let's talk about the need for this book. Let's start there. For both of you growing up, did you feel like there was enough representation of this kind with Latina women, with historical figures in the way that you would have liked?
No, and maybe if there was, I wouldn't have failed history class. Actually, I'm not sure that I actually failed history, but I know I did not get good grades. I just was not interested in the history that they taught us in school, which is why when I was approached about the book, I questioned it for a second because I'm like, and I even wrote in the introduction of the book, like I was not a history buff before writing this. But then you realize that history is just stories. I love stories. I write stories.
We're all chismosas.
Exactly. So really, this book is just a bunch of chisme about some powerful Latinas whose countries may or may not have disowned them, and they were never written about because of that. And that's pretty neat. So I think I'm excited about the opportunity this book has to change students' perspectives around how they feel about learning history. Because maybe the history that, I mean, who knows what they're teaching in school these days, but I imagine it can't be that different from how we were taught. But maybe if what was taught was a little bit more diverse starting from early on, um, it would be different. And I should mention that this book is actually part of a series that the publisher has done. So there is also the Book of Asian Women, the Book of Awesome Girls, the Book of Awesome Black Women. So there, it's a very powerful series, I feel like, and I hope that it can inspire young versions of Ashley, Myrtle, and Dulcie to love learning about their ancestors more.
I mainly
Yes, I
remember
love
like
this.
growing up just the show Taina. I don't know.
I was Taina.
No, you wished you were Taina. You didn't have a TV show. Um, but I mean, in terms of like what I saw in the media, that's the one I was thinking when you were asking that question. I'm like, she's the main one that I remembered. I'm like, everybody wanted to be Taina because we're like, she's Latina. We understand the struggle. I mean, for those of us that lived in New York as a child, we're like, oh my God, I can relate to this. This is great. Um, and I think that I've been blessed with my career and being able to highlight other Latinas, Latinos, and Latine people because we need more of us. And I'm of the belief that you don't know what you can do until you see someone else doing it or somebody doing something similar.
Right. It's hard to be what you can't see, right? And
Mhm.
for me, thinking, answering my own this question for myself, I can only think of fictional characters. Like I think of Real Women Have Curves as the first Latina representation that spoke to me. Just she looked like me and spoke like me and had feelings the way that I did. And I can't really think of any kind of historical person that was brought to my attention until maybe Frida Kahlo, right?
Mhm.
So let's start there because I like Myrtle this idea of starting with chisme. Let's talk about the chisme. Let's dive into this book by talking a little bit about one of the Latinas that you all featured in this book. Tell me a little bit about how this person kind of became a role model to you as you're here learning about them.
I mean, I will talk anyone's ear off about Sor Juana Inés. She's a nun from New Spain, which later became New Mexico, and she's writing about feminism in what was 1600s pre-Mexico. Well, post like viceroyalty of New Spain before it became officially Mexico. She decided to become a nun because she didn't want to get married and she wanted to dedicate her life to learning and writing. And she knew that as a wife, she wasn't going to be able to do that. Um, I also love La Cholitas Luchadoras, who are cholitas from Bolivia and they wrestle and they're changing the conversation around Indigenous women one body slam at a time. And I'm all for it. All for it.
Okay, but do you have to slam your arm first before you do the body slam? That's the question that we all have.
Honestly, whatever gets the job done.
This title is so joyful. This title, The Awesome Latinas, and I like the idea of this awesome series. How, with so many awesome Latinas out there, how did you all kind of narrow it down? How did you begin to decide who would be included in this book?
It was a process. I think picking who was going to be in the book probably took us longer than actually writing the book. There were so many questions that we had around, because we wanted to do it intentionally, authentically, and make sure we did every country justice. And then there was a question of like, okay, what countries are actually considered uh Latino countries, right? Because if you look it up on the internet, there's like 8 million different answers. Then also, how do we appropriately represent the indigenous community in this book without erasing their indigenous histories? And so it was just a lot to think about, like what countries, how many from each country. We wanted to balance it out. And then we wanted to focus on, the lesser known names, right? The women that we really rarely ever hear about. Um, because sales and marketing, we did have to add, some celebrities so there's that, and we love them, but our focus really was to bring attention to people that we don't really hear about that much that also deserve their flowers. So, and of course, across a variety of different industries. Like we also have musicians, visual artists, chefs, we have politicians,
Athletes.
athletes.
That was actually I'm not athletic. I don't got an athletic bone in my body, and that was my favorite section to write.
I love that. I'd love to hear about that. Who were the women, Myrtle, for you that you were like right off the bat, no, this person has to be in the book? Like who was an easy sell for both of you?
I mean, for me is Malta, the Brazilian soccer player who's had the most goals at a World Cup, um, for I believe men and women. So for
Wow.
me, I just knew when we were doing the sports section, Malta is going to be the first one listed because she is exemplary. I mean, there's a couple that we knew kind of right off the bat that we were just like, yes.
Um, Delcy, you love music just as much as I do. Have you heard of Renata Flores
I
from
have heard of Renata, yeah.
He's in the book?
Oh,
It
yes.
was an immediate yes for me. And actually, I'll have to send you, and you can share it when you guys put out the podcast. We made a YouTube playlist of songs, like her songs, but also similar veined Latina artists who we think are awesome, that write about justice and, taking control of their countries and honing in on their power and stuff. So
I love that. I think I'm hearing the music edition of this book is next. That's excellent. Who were you surprised by? Like Myrtle, I like you talking about your surprise of your interest in sports. For you, Ashley, who were those? What did you discover from these figures? Were there any stories that surprised you or people that you thought, my God, I can't believe it's been this long since I've heard of this person?
relevant to our most recent life change, so many of these powerful women were moms. No surprise there. But, you start reading their life stories, and it's also pretty terrifying because some of these women had their families killed because they went up against the government. And, it's kind of a relevant situation now to a lot of us who are trying to still create change and impact in our communities and maybe worried about posting the wrong thing and getting on some list or whatever, right? And we're just like, oh, we want to speak out, but like we don't want to put our lives or our families in danger. Like, how do we handle this? But like these women really, they did that. They did that and they paved the way for us, I think, to start speaking up more. Um, and I feel like that's one way that we can continue living their legacy. And I think that they really showed me that there are ways to advocate and resist that don't necessarily have to go like you don't have to go into battle physically, right? So I think even this book for Myrtle and I is a form of resistance for us.
Yes, and I'm hearing a little bit about just the love and the care that you all took with this book and with the people that you're depicting and that you're talking about. I want to hear a little bit more about the process. Let's dive a little bit into the research part because a lot of times telling stories about women, it's not super easy because a lot of the information has not been documented or has been lost through time or changed. Did you encounter any of these challenges while researching the history of these folks?
Yes and no. For so we decided that we wanted to include two women that from present time and two women from the past. So there was women where there was boundless information on them. And then you find some of the women that from the past that might not have as much because it might either be stored in a book somewhere in an archive. But and anybody that buys the book will see that our bibliography is
Extensive.
extensive. It's one of the things that I'm just like, the journalist in me is like, I'm not gonna have people thinking I made this up. So we're gonna show people, look, this is the research. Like, here it is, here's a works cited, all of that, because we wanted to show that we put a lot of thought into it. Um, but I mean, when you just keep looking, and if I gotta go to page 15 on Google, I will, because at the end of the day, I want to do right by these women because these women all did such beautiful, amazing, magical things, and some of them are no longer here to continue sharing their story. So it was important to both of us that I don't know, los espíritus felt that like, okay, we're reclaiming something that had already happened and has already passed, but doing it in a way that it's like respectful to the memory of that person.
Yes, no easy feat. No easy feat. Speaking of being respectful to the memory of that person, there's also the audience to take into consideration, right? The people who are going to be honoring these folks. I think one of the strengths of your first book, Ashley, Hefa and Training, is that it is really accessible. Is really accessible. You can read it, you can understand it, you can feel close to the stories and the way that you're giving this information. How did you guys balance this when you're writing this book? How did you write this in a way that was educational, but also accessible and engaging for the reader?
Funny enough, we realized that we have very different writing styles after the book was done.
That was one of the things I was randomly going through. I'm like, oh wait, we're like two completely different people writing.
Which, like, maybe now the people listening to this will pick up the book and maybe they will notice, but I don't know. That's a question I will have for the readers. Like, can you tell that two different people wrote the chapters of this book? I think, I mean, I wanted it to give the same vibe that Hifa did, right? Where it's just you're sitting down with your most educated, well-informed prima who's telling you these stories,
We have
right?
we're a smart prima, apparently.
Yeah, we are.
That prima.
Yes, versus like, oh, I'm gonna open this history book, right? Because when I think about that, like I think about a textbook, and that's not what this is.
Yeah, let's talk about the cultural relevance of what this is, Ashley. Let's talk a little bit about that. When both of you are thinking about your readers, what are you hoping that all of these stories collected in one place are going to do for the people who are reading this book? Let's say the young Latinas that are going to open this book and learn about these folks for the first time.
And I hope that they will feel seen or represented in some way and feel like we did when we were writing about them. Like we were excited to learn more. And I think that, you know, it's a profile book. So there's only so much we could write per person. I think it's more of like an introduction to these women versus like, oh, here's everything that you have to know. And if they're interested, maybe they want to do more research on these women. So I want them to feel like it's an invitation to learn more about our history as Latinas. I want them to feel seen, and I want them to feel inspired to take action just like these women did, and break barriers in their industries as well.
After writing this book, I'm sure that there were countless hours dedicated to this book. You've been immersed in it. What would you say that it changed in the way that you see yourself, right? Seeing yourself as an awesome Latina who's here learning about awesome Latinas.
For me, and this is kind of what I hope for everyone else, is that they see their innate potential. The just, I feel like what it means to be Latina, it has so many different definitions for everybody, and everyone has kind of this, oh, they're fiery, they're, sassy, and while some of us may be fiery and sassy, not all of us are. Um, so my hope is that they understand that there's many different avenues to be Latina, that you don't have to encapsulate this one stereotype, and that also success and change looks different across the board. But it's kind of the way that I see it is we all have kind of the same ingredients in our soul, and the way that that manifests when, we're out in the world and living our lives looks completely different, and it's okay to be different and to embody that the beauty of who you are.
I love that, Ashley. What about you?
Um, I I think the opportunity that we have to portray and introduce these women is awesome. I have no other word for it aside from awesome. And I think it's a responsibility for me. It was like I have to do this. Like it's a responsibility as someone who has previously written for the Latina community to do this for our community. And I think that I want to keep doing that in whatever way I can, whether it be through books or through we started an awesome Latina Substack.
Yes.
We're very excited. Who knows what that will evolve into, but we really want it to be like a living version of the book. And who knows, maybe there will be a volume 2 of Awesome Latinas. So this will be a segue into that.
We gotta light that velita soon.
Yeah, we do. We should have done it before this, but
Okay, and for our final question, we're going to go out on a fun question, Tamarindo style. If you could have dinner with any of the Latinas featured in this book, who's it going to be and why?
Okay, so this is in at the beginning of the book, we have a section where Ashley and I took a moment to just speak to the writer personally, each of us. It's from the authors section, and I would want, while they're not profiled in the book, I would love to have dinner with my grandmothers that have already passed away.
Oh, qué lindo. I love that.
I won't say more because I'm trying not to cry right now.
We allow tears here at Tamarindo, but also I think a lot of us felt that.
Yeah, so I
Yeah.
would I would definitely want to have just one dinner with both of them, because my maternal mother, Margarita, was a principal of a school in the Dominican Republic. So I would love to pick her brain about, like, look, one of your granddaughters just wrote a book. Like, what's up with that? And then my maternal grandmother, Olga, she she never got to finish school, and then all the daughters that she wasn't able to have herself, she got in granddaughters. And we were her pride and joy. So I would just love to share this moment with both of them.
I love that. It's almost like being around this book and the information of this book kind of it really makes you connect to those people in your own history that could be considered brave and outstanding Latinas.
Yeah.
Ashley, ¿tú?
All right. Well, mine is not as deep as
I'm, I'm a Scorpio. I can't help.
and I'm over here like AOC, obviously.
Obviously.
Well, we can make that one happen.
I'm ready. AOC, if you're listening to the podcast, we'd love to send you a book. So just let us know. And you can hang when I go to New York. I don't know.
Spoiler alert, AOC is in the book, so if you're an AOC fan. And for those that are listening, going, okay, that's it. I need this book. Where can we get Awesome Latinas?
Anywhere you can buy books. Our preference is for you to support an independent bookstore, perhaps a Latina-owned bookstore, and that would be through bookshop.org. It's a really, really awesome B Corp that allows you to order from these independent bookstores. It's also available on Amazon and Barnes and Noble as well.
Ashley and Myrtle, thank you so much for joining us today on Tamarindo. We're all going out and reading Awesome Latinas all week.
Yay! Thank you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity
Gracias.
and for sharing your platform with us.
Yay!